Yo, what's up? This is your boy Postman, and you're tuned in to Post in a Diary Room. Welcome to Post in a Diary Room. And as you may know, every day is a good day to get a delivery from the postman. And of course, if this is your very first time tuning in, please kindly like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever is necessary to engage with the content, and most importantly, enjoy the review because today I am coming through with the Kindly Nxsh review. This is a project that is titled Soldier in Transit. And most importantly, this is a review that has been requested, and it's been a long time coming, to be quite honest, because I haven't done a review in such a very long time. The project is titled Soldier in Transit, and it comes after a crazy run that Kindly Nxsh had where he released joints like Ish Chief. I think Ish Chief is the joint that actually kicked everything off, in as far as pushing Kindly Nxsh right to the front of the South African hip hop conversations and stuff like that. So he's always been a producer. He's always been known as a producer, but he's been hailed for his producer to artist arc, and people are now dubbing it as one of the best in South African hip hop, or amongst the best in South African hip hop. So opinions normally vary in as far as that is concerned, but a lot of people really like the pivot that Kindly Nxsh has kind of taken. This project is also kind of like testament to that because it doesn't have any features, and it's narrated by a Matlera boy, and it's really clear that Kindly Nxsh is really going ahead with the whole militant man, the whole soldier boy, soldier man mystique that he has. And yeah, obviously, a lot of people have been saying that he needs to kind of also like let go of it and try something different, because there's also a clip of another commentator, Swenko Franco, on the song Playmaker, where he's actually saying that I just wish he could just let go of the militant man shandis. And obviously, Kindly Nxsh kind of replied to that on the song in a subtle manner, basically just adding another clip of someone basically saying, just shut the fuck up sometimes. So yeah, that's the nature of things in South African hip hop. But the project kicks off with the song Senator. And what I got from the song Senator is that Kindly Nxsh kind of also like caters to the vibe for the most part. He doesn't really complicate things. He's not overly lyrical. I don't think he can be overly lyrical. I don't think it's in him. I think he has clocked what he needs to do, and this is what he did with this specific project, which is catering to the vibe of maybe the beats, or giving the beats the right level of energy, and just being very hyper and frisky all over these beats. Meanwhile, the sound of a DVD player actually comes through on the second song, which is Transit. In my opinion, this is a very introspective cut. This is a song that is quite very deep in as far as the whole Kindly Nxsh brand is concerned, or brand of making music is concerned, because this is quite introspective, very left side of things. It's from the far left. It's also cater for those guys that want to hear a lot more about him and want to, kind of know where he comes from, who he is, and what challenges has he faced and what challenges has he overcome. He actually talks about the identity crisis that he was once dealt with, or that he's still currently dealing with, in as far as him trying to find his feet in South Africa while being Shona. Well, in as far as Kindly Nxsh is concerned, I really wasn't aware that he wasn't South African, and I thought he's one of those guys that, they just grew up in the burbs and they just don't know isiZulu or the Kasi lingo, some shit like that. I didn't realize that he was Shona, but it doesn't really make a difference. To be honest, Playmaker is a really bright joint. It has a lot of life. It sounds a lot like Ish Chief, Captain. Like, this is like the normal sound that Kindly Nxsh we know him for. This is the sound that he is kind of also carved out for himself, and he's just playing around with these different variations so that he makes sure that he's not doing the same thing over and over. But there isn't really much of a difference in as far as those songs are concerned, but all of them just give out a different feeling. Furthermore, the MSL freestyle, in my opinion, is a very loud joint, and Kindly Nxsh is actually screaming out there. He sounds like a rock artist on that, which is like a hip hop soul. I like how he kind of plays around with like the tone throughout the song, where he actually knew when to maybe use a different tone that is like a lot higher, and then he knew when to kind of bring it down and change the tone slightly just to cater for where he was trying to take the song at that particular point. So I think that was a very enjoyable freestyle in my opinion. I think right after Picture Perfect, this is where the project kind of gets into its second phase, or the second half. And this is where things kind of get a lot more experimental, a lot more interesting, because this is more musical. Immediately when I heard songs like Change, I actually thought that, yeah, these are the types of songs that I would appreciate a lot more from Kindly Nxsh. I'm not saying I don't appreciate the current joints, but if he actually went down this rabbit hole, I think something might actually come out. And I felt as though these are very good songs, because now he's tapping into his very melodic bag, and he's kind of also tapping into his inner Post Malone. And you still even get joints like Feel It that have a pop like texture over them. The production also, for the most part, is one that I can attribute to maybe a Kanye West. On Feel It, we have a very funky joint where Kindly Nxsh was kind of also trying to like bring two worlds together, trying to bring together a white man's world right along with the black man's world, basically, because that's what it actually sounded like, because the song in itself is very different. So most importantly, you can kind of also tell that Kindly Nxsh was also like pushing his envelope with these types of songs to kind of also like showcase his range, and not just limit himself to just being a trap artist or a trap star. He's also trying to tap into the musicality that he has, or his true essence of being a musician. Sometimes it might get risky, because he might do something like this and it might not be well received. But obviously, as with time goes on, what I've actually started to notice is that these guys know what they're doing. And as far as like the music, it's just that like the audience sometimes is not really up to speed with these types of cuts that they are trying to do. Hence why maybe it's really important for them to kind of like phase them in, maybe with like a couple of singles just before they change the entire sound completely, because there's always going to be those guys that are just going to come through with the pushback and say, we want this from you, we want that from you, why did you change? Since Ish Chief and Jay, things have kind of also changed drastically. Well, I don't know, because I don't know Kindly Nxsh, I don't know how he was living while he was a producer, but I believe that maybe at that point he had a lot more flexibility and he had a lot more time on his hands. And now that he's an artist, now he has to go out and gig and do all these different things. And was quite a heartfelt joint in my opinion, and it was a great way to kind of also close the project, because yeah, now we kind of leave the project with the sense of where Kindly Nxsh is in as far as his whole life, or where Kindly Nxsh actually is right now. Or this is exactly what I expect an EP to sound like. A very experimental, very very vibey for the most part. It should make sense, in as much as maybe it's an EP, but it should make sense, and there should be some intent behind it. And I can see the intent, and I can see where Kindly Nxsh was kind of trying to take this, and quite creative, because I think also him being a producer kind of also gives him the edge of being able to tailor his sound the way he would like to tailor it. And those are the benefits of just being a producer and an artist, or being an artist that is able to still produce your music, because you are then able to drive the sound wherever it is that you're trying to take it. Dope project. It's very digestible. And I just also feel like this is just not the type of project for me to kind of bump from track one to the last. I think there are obviously a select few songs that I would come back to and will come back to. I think this project for me would get a 7 out of 10. I think this is a very nice project. Kindly Nxsh's latest project titled Soldier in Transit gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Post in the diary, please kindly like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever is necessary to engage with the content, and most importantly, I will see you on the next one.